Welcome back to the channel. My name is Michelle Riley, and I'm the owner of Notaries for Alabama. On this channel, we talk about all things related to either being a commissioned notary public or aspiring to become a commissioned notary. Apparently, in an earlier video, I alluded to the fact that I am no longer a notary signing agent. And that statement caught the ear of one of our viewers who followed up and asked me to please elaborate on that and explain why I am no longer a notary signing agent. And you know what? I thought that was a good question. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm glad you're here. If this is a topic that interests you, I want to encourage you to go ahead and like the channel and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when future videos are made. So let's go ahead and get started. So I think before I dive into the reasons why I'm no longer a signing agent, it would be helpful if I shared a little more about my notary history. I first became commissioned as an Alabama notary when I was working for my then employer back in 2005. They let me know that it was a job requirement for me to become commissioned. And then about a year later, 2006, that is when I heard or learned about being a notary signing agent. One of the individuals I was notarizing their signature for said to me, you can make some decent money if you get into real estate document signing. I knew nothing about it. They directed me to the National Notary Association's website. So in 2006 is when I first became a certified notary signing agent. I did that full time for 4 years. Yep, 2006 to 2010. Took a couple years break, did it part-time from 2013 to 2015, and then did it part-time again from 2017 to 2018. So specific to notary signing agent work, I'm looking at right around 7 years as a signing agent. Now, I've done more than signing agent work in addition to owning Notaries for Alabama, and that's the company that focuses on supporting Alabama notaries with the commission process, getting trained on Alabama's notary laws, and offering some mentoring. I also own a small business called Alabama Notary and Process Server. And that under that umbrella, that's where I perform other types of notary work and legal support work. So I have been in business full-time, part-time, wow, for over 18 years. So that's my background, and I think that's enough experience to speak on this subject. And I hope you will stay with me. So the question that came to me was from Patrina 1026. Patrina, I hope you will catch this video. She asked, Michelle, why did you decide to stop being a notary signing agent? And Patrina, I hope that you will click on the description for this channel. You'll find my email address. Please send me an email so that I can reach back out to you. I want to send you something that I hope you'll find helpful and valuable to you. But there wasn't one certain thing or event that caused me to no longer be a notary signing agent in the state of Alabama. It's multiple of reasons. And for time purposes, I'm going to only touch on 6 of those reasons. Reason number 1, phone calls were replaced by cattle calls. What I mean by that is when I got started in the business, it was standard operating procedure for title companies and signing services to pick up the phone and call the signing agent. So yes, once I got trained and certified, I listed myself on about 4 notary online databases. 123 Notary, Notary Rotary, Notary Cafe, Go Mobile Notary, um, maybe another one that I can't think of right now. And just by doing that, my phone would start to ring. I don't know why I've got this house phone in my hand. They would call me on my cell phone, but it was a phone call. Ring, ring, Michelle, we've got a closing near you. Are you available? And I would pull out my calendar and check the date and time and say, yes, I am available on that date. And we would talk about things like, okay, the type of loan that is being closed, how many signers, when the documents would be ready. And in addition to the business information about the loan signing appointment, that phone call allowed me to build relationships with the person on the other end of the phone. So yes, we talked about the type of loan, but I was also able to ask, how's your day going? What's in the pipeline for next week? How's your family? And that dialogue helped build strong business relationships with the schedulers, with title, that generated even more business. More than once, I might ask about what's coming down the pipeline. And if the person I'm speaking to says, well, you know what, we don't have much in your city, we've got a lot of work coming out of a nearby county, I could say, what? I cover that county as well. And they're like, well, let me put that in your profile and start getting work to you. So when I noticed that instead of getting phone calls notifying me of closings, and it was replaced with text messages coming to my phone, um, that started me to see that the industry was changing, and I wasn't really happy with that change. Again, a phone call, I'm not at all suggesting that at first I was the only person that got that call for that closing. But after a while, yes, it would be me and maybe 1 or 2 other signing agents in the area who would get that call. So competition wasn't as strong as it is today. Whereas with a cattle call, a text message is sent out to what, 10, 20, 30, 40 notaries, and the first one who responds gets the work. Um, I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. It's just not an approach that I'm used to, because I find it easier to develop a relationship with someone that I am speaking to on a regular basis. Not only would I use the phone to talk with the scheduler, I would often speak with the loan officer. If I was at the signing table and the signing became difficult, it was never a problem for me. I shouldn't say never, but rarely a problem for me to call the loan officer or whoever's on call to get answers. So that being replaced with the text messages was something that I really wasn't that crazy about. Reason number two for why I am no longer a notary signing agent: decreasing profit margin. Now, those of you who are taking your business seriously, you probably drafted or you should have drafted a business plan, and your research should have led you to understand that in the service market, which we are in, the expected profit margin is 7 to 10%. So you take your gross, you deduct your expenses, your taxes, your overhead and all, and then ideally you are left with a profit margin of anywhere from 7 to 10%. I have found over time that that is increasingly difficult to reach for loan signing work. Why? A number of factors. One, the expenses for being a signing agent continues to go up. Those of you who got started during COVID, how much did you have to pay for that laser printer? I remember reading in Facebook groups, printers that used to cost $400 costing $700, $800 and higher. And granted, that was for a set period of time, but for the type of printers that a professional signing agent, someone who is really in the business, needs to buy, those numbers are still way higher than the cost, way higher than it used to be. The cost for gas, of course, is higher. The cost for paper, needing both legal size and letter size paper, is not an option. And don't mention the toner for that laser printer. More and more signing agents find it is advantageous for them to do scan backs at the signing table, or to be able to print or scan from their vehicle, thereby incurring additional expenses for that. The cost to be an Alabama notary has increased, especially in the more recent past. Those of you who are aware of the new notary laws and requirements in Alabama, I renewed my commission a few months ago, and I felt it. The cost for my commission did double. And the cost to be a NNA certified signing agent has increased quite a bit. All of these things impact your profit. The fees that notary signing agents are being paid for work is not keeping up with, if we want to call all of that inflation. Instead, those fees are declining for many signing agents. This is not a time when I'm going to go into a rant or complaint about the fees in the industry, because I do believe I, the business owner, set my fees. It's up to me whether to accept the fees or not accept them. But competition is stiff. While I may want to be paid at least $150 for a refi loan package, there may not be a signing service or a title company that is willing to pay that. They will look for a signing agent who is willing to accept 125, 90, 70, whatever the number. I don't get angry at that. I don't try to control that, but that was a factor in me saying, should I continue being a signing agent given the different factors that I just covered? In Alabama, unlike some other states, any business must buy a business license. So again, my understanding from state and city authorities here in the state of Alabama, if you're in business, you need a business license. That's not true for signing agents in other states. Each state is different, but if you didn't know, in Alabama, just because we have a commission does not replace the need to let your state, county, city know that you were running a business. And again, all of these things cost money. I hinted at it earlier. Competition is much higher today among signing agents than it was years ago. And that is good for title companies, I think, and signing services. They have more choices over who they hire to close their loans. Reason number 3. The third reason why I am no longer a notary signing agent is because of the slow to pay companies and the no pay companies. If you have been a signing agent for a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Fortunately for me, I can only think of a very few, 1, 2, 3, no more than 5 instances when someone hired me to do a loan signing that they failed to pay me. There have been a few times when they were slow to pay. I remember one person in particular who I wasn't as nice as I probably could have been about not being paid. I made this person very uncomfortable through emails and letters and threats that I expected to be paid according to our agreement. It took a while, but once he saw that I was not giving up, he did finally pay me my full fee. Again, in the past, that used to be unusual, infrequent. What I'm hearing from newer signing agents now directly, some from our Facebook group, I'll tell you more about that later, and others, I'm reading about it in different Facebook groups, even in other states, where signing agents are being hired, doing the work, and either having to wait 30, 45, 60 days to be paid, And in some instances, they have never received payment for their work. That is very frustrating, unprofessional, unacceptable. And again, that one time I really had to go after the individual who did not want to pay me. I just knew I didn't want to get that worked up again. No one in business for themselves has time to chase the money that they earned and deserved. Um, it used to be fewer lenders, title companies, signing services in the business. And so signing agents, we knew who paid the most, who paid quickly. It was a lot easier to even accept the assignments. You would hear, oh, okay, you work for so and so company. Sure, I want to do business with you. Absolutely. And they had great payment histories so that there was no second guessing whether to accept an assignment or not. Now there are more players, more people in the business, and some of those companies that hire signing agents are new to the business and find out after a few months it's not the right business for them and close their doors, change their names, making it difficult for signing agents to collect on money that they owe. Keep in mind, for those of us in Alabama, many of the companies that hire us aren't even based in Alabama. So you can't just get in your car and drive to an office and say, hey, pay me. All of this is being done by email and phone, and it's just not as convenient. And so again, now we're seeing longer waiting periods for signing agents to get their money if they get it at all. So that is reason number 3, where I was like, okay, this slow to pay, sometimes not getting paid, I'm hearing about it more. Do I really want to get back in that type of work? Reason number 4 for not wanting to be a signing agent any longer, I call it full-time versus part-time. Now, I've been a signing agent both full-time, had my own a brick and mortar office, even did co-working space. So I would have some closings in my own office. Opened the office around 8 a.m., didn't close it until around 8 p.m. I've also done it part-time in tandem with a full-time job in a different field. And so I can speak on both of these. And what I found is that companies who hire signing agents, they really prefer to work with signing agents who are in the business full-time. They can't control when their client, their customer wants to close on the loan. It might be at 8 a.m., it may be at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 6 or 8 p.m. You are definitely going to have a leg up when you can tell the hiring party you are full-time, you're available when their customer is available to close. And that will indirectly contribute to or directly to being a profitable signing agent. Now, I'm not saying you cannot do it part-time. You can, but again, the preference is to be available. those hiring entities are going to come to that full-time person first because of their availability. Flexibility is so key. But keep in mind, someone who is doing this full-time means they are fully self-employed. And with self-employment, we're talking about not having paid days off from work. We're talking about not enjoying having an employer who's paying part of your health insurance premium. You may be giving up on a 401k plan, the employer contribution. So, yeah, the idea of being full-time sounds great. You're busy with loan signing appointments, but look at what you're giving up. These benefits that are still very important to most. Now, those of you who are blessed to have a second income coming into your home, either by way of a partner, a spouse, maybe by a retirement check and all, this full-time arrangement probably will work very good for you. But those of us who don't have that ability at this time, part-time may be the only option. And again, I'm not saying you won't get work, but I'm venturing to guess you won't be as busy as someone who can meet with the customer at any time. All right, we've gone through 4 reasons. I've got about 2 more, and then we'll wrap it up. Reason number 5, why I am no longer a notary signing agent. It is because of the cyclical nature of this business. That was the best way I could explain it. If you're familiar with this line of work, end of month usually starts somewhere in the last 2 weeks of each month. That's when signing agents usually are very busy. And then the first 2 weeks of the month, things definitely slow down. And you're like, okay, that's fine. Those last 2 weeks, I'll work really, really hard, but there are only a certain number of hours in the day. You can only be in one place at one time. You can only be at one signing table at a time. And so there is a limit as to how many appointments you can do. I was listening to another YouTuber, Griff, and he was sharing, I believe he was close to doing, I think he said 17 or 18 in a week, and that is great. But Griff had to be really busy that week. I remember days when I've done 7, 8, one time 9 appointments. It was crazy. I was exhausted. And so, yes, you can pack them in, but we are not robots. There is a limit to how many you can do, depending on your territory. If it's rural areas, a lot of driving, you've got to factor that time in. You've got to factor in dropping documents, doing scan backs, and hoping and praying that there is no need to go back to a customer to fix an error. And so while the volume of work is cyclical, meaning times when you're very busy and times when you can hear crickets and is it the cicadas right now that are big in Alabama? I don't know about you, but my bills are constant. They are not cyclical. They come on time every month. They do not care that those first 2 weeks, no income is coming in. And so it's cyclical for that reason, the nature of the business that we cannot control. Um, it's cyclical because volume is tied to interest rates. And if you've been listening to the news, this recording is being done in May 2024. Right now, interest rates are at a level that is not encouraging a lot of borrowers to borrow money, homeowners to refinance their home. So that affects the volume of work that's out there. It is, this makes me remember 2008. In 2006, 2007, my phone was ringing off the hook. And then slowly I started to hear from notaries in California and Florida. They were seeing a slowdown, but we were still popping for a while in Alabama. And then once 2008 was fully in place, it hit us here in Alabama. And I tell you, it grinded to a halt. And that can happen again. It has happened since 2008. Again, we cannot control those sorts of things. Also around 2008 and after that, we started to see where some financial institutions were merging, acquiring, closing their doors. Again, that affects the signing agent's volume of work. So I call it cyclical, but there have been many times it has felt like a roller coaster. And that can be scary, especially if you are doing this full time or even part time and your family, your livelihood is depending on it. Are you ready for the sixth and final reason why I am no longer a signing agent? Let's check it out. Reason number 6. I prefer doing other things instead. Keep in mind, it was rare that I ever was only a notary signing agent. And yes, I said I was doing it full time, but due to the cyclical nature of the business, I was not going to sit at home waiting for the phone to ring those first 2 weeks of the month. I knew I needed to fill in my calendar with other types of work so that the slow periods of signing agent work would result in major chaos. And so over the course of the time that I have been in business, I started offering other services. Those other services include being an apostille agent, which usually involves a notarization as well as additional steps to prepare documents to travel outside of the United States to other countries. Granted, as notaries, we do not produce or prepare the apostille. That is done by the Alabama Secretary of State's office, excuse me, in many instances, not all. but we can assist the customer with that process. I also perform remote notarizations. Notice I did not say remote online notarization because Alabama has a unique type of remote notarization where I watch the signer sign the document through video conference equipment. They send the document to me, and I complete the notarization. Now, granted, I was not doing remote notarizations in 2006, 7, 8, 9. I didn't add that until just a few years ago. Apostilles, I think I started doing that back in 2014 or 15. I remember when I became a process server, that was in 2008. I didn't go looking for that. That work fell in my lap. I had to do a lot of research in order to get comfortable with hand delivering court documents to businesses and Alabama residents. And I got comfortable rather quickly. That's something I continue to do. And I went further and went ahead and obtained my license. I'm a licensed Alabama private investigator as well. The laws changed in Alabama, making it necessary for residents to meet with the notary in order to get married. And so that is a document that requires notarization. And notaries who want to tack on additional services to assist couples with the marriage process can charge additional fees for that. I have always been contacted by law firms to help out when their team members, their staff was either off duty or they had clients who needed documents notarized outside of the office. And so just by calling on law firms that prepare a variety of documents, wills, powers of attorney, prenuptials, postnuptial agreements, trust documents, adoption forms, whatever needs a notarization, partnering with law firms so that you are their go-to notary can be very profitable. And then finally, I sell notary bonds and E&O insurance in Alabama and a few other states. So what's key about what's on reason number 6 is I don't have to wait 30, 45, 60 days to be paid for these services. Typically, I am paid once the service is rendered, and in the instances of being a process server, typically I am paid in advance of doing that work. Also, I am not required to work with a third party, someone in the middle, like a signing service or title company. I'm not dependent on them to say how much they're going to pay for my services. I issue a quote, and it's up to the customer to either accept my fee or not. And with remote notarizations, and selling the bonds, and I don't even have to leave my home. But what I really like about these services, it allows me to establish strong business relationships with the customers and with the individuals who send me work. And as I mentioned at the beginning, that is really important to me personally and professionally. I find that in a lot of social media, I feel that the role of notary signing agent is glamorized and sounds very easy. It's a no-brainer. It's very profitable. You can make six figures. I find, especially for those of us in Alabama, the reality is very different. And I really do want to caution Alabama commission notaries in light of the new laws that went into effect last year, the new notary complaint process, and the statute that clearly states there can be no financial interests on the part of notary when we're using our seal. The state is really scrutinizing our work now like it has not done so in the past. Be very prudent, very cautious about entering into new business endeavors that you have not fully vetted yourself. You may even want to run some of these new opportunities by your county's probate office to make sure that you are not putting yourself and your business at risk or in jeopardy or in compromising situations. I can't stress that enough. Like any small business, it is a marathon and not a sprint to the finish line. It's going to take a while. My phone rings. I get plenty of work, more work than I can handle, not because I'm the best notary in Alabama, not at all, but because I've been in the game for so long. My websites have good SEO. My name is out there, and that comes with time. So I hope these 6 reasons have answered your question, Patrina. Again, I really want to thank you for taking the time to ask the question. I hope you found this helpful. If you like hearing about what it takes to be a successful notary public, whether you're doing it for your employer, whether you're doing it for your church or your community, or as a signing agent or as a mobile notary, I want to encourage you to join our free Facebook group. It is called Notaries for Alabama Hangout. Just answer the questions. I add new members usually on the weekend. We have over 1,000 members. It's a great way to find mentors, a great way to network with notaries in your community. But what I like, you stay on top of what's going on in our state, whether it's law changes, whether it's notaries getting in hot water, whether it's finding out about those companies that are slow to pay or who don't pay. In closing, I'm not a notary signing agent anymore, not because I hate it, didn't like it, not at all. It's because the industry has evolved over time into something that is different from what I enjoy and like doing. And I'm focusing on those things in reason number 6. I hope you found this helpful. Go ahead and give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And if you have a question you'd like for me to answer, I'll do my best. Just type it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to use it on my next rant here on the channel. Have a great rest of your day, and I do wish you nothing but success with your notary aspirations in business. Take care.